This is a meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. And tonight we're going to be going over the agencies, the welfare department, the library, and economic development. Mr. Town Manager, everything before we start?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We need to go into a non-public session at the end of this meeting under RSA 91A 3, Roman numeral 2, and I believe it's C, reputation, and I believe it's E, litigation.
Okay, so we'll deal with that after we go through all these other budgets, if that's okay with you.
Yep.
Okay. Steve Johnson, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, let's start with agencies. And the first one I have on the list is the V&A Hospice. Evening, sir. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Well, thank you for having me.
And are you Mr. Winslow?
I am Mr.
Okay,
Winslow,
great.
yes.
Why don't you tell us about what you folks do?
Sure. So Granite V&A has been serving Wolfeboro for over 100 years now. You might actually recognize us by a different name. Maybe Central New Hampshire V&A and Hospice. Maybe the V&A and Hospice of Southern Carroll County and vicinity. We went through a recent merger about 18 months ago where Central New Hampshire V&A and Hospice merged with Concord Regional V&A. But we still maintain all the same services to the town of Wolfeboro. And in fact, we still have an office down on South Main Street. For those that aren't familiar with what a visiting nurse association does, we actually provide health care in the home. Granite V&A has 3 primary service lines. Home health care, which typically is for post-acute stays in facilities or chronic illness. It's where we provide clinicians that will go to the home and do a visit for individuals that can't get out of the home and get outpatient care. Those clinicians are typically nurses, occupational therapists, physical therapists, licensed nursing assistants, nutritionists, medical social workers, basically any clinician that you might need in the home, we'll provide through our home care program. We also provide hospice and palliative care. Hospice, as most people understand, is care and comfort at the end of one's life. It's where if someone were to ask, that's where our brand really lies. Hospice is a very important service line for us, and we're very passionate about providing it. And specifically, our hospice and palliative care program makes a point to give individuals respect, autonomy, decision-making power, and of course, have a pain-free life when they're near the end of their days, preferably passing in their home, surrounded by their family. Our third service line is our pediatric program. A lot like our home care program, it provides all those clinical services in the home for younger folks, for the pediatrics, but we also treat the whole family as a unit, because we know to build a strong adult out of a young person, it takes a whole family. So we focus on building strong families, and we have a number of programs that help us do just that. Those are our 3 main service lines. We have some new and exciting stuff that's happening. We have what we call our community benefits program that's expanding right now, and we've done quite a bit of work in the Wolfeboro area. We've had a number of educational programs in this room right here. We offer some evidence-based workshops, and we do blood pressure clinics, foot clinics, and of course, most recently, probably flu vaccine clinics that have happened. So that's one of our community benefits. That's something that is inexpensive or free to the public, and we consider that part of our mission. If you want to talk about specific numbers. I know in the packet I get really specific about the number of visits and the number of patients by service line, but sometimes it's easier for us to understand when I just lump it all together. So I put my glasses on. I can tell you that last fiscal year we cared for 502 Wolfeboro residents, and in caring for those Wolfeboro residents we made 6,626 home visits in the span of those 12 months. And we also, in doing that, provided for almost $45,836 in charity care. So I'm here, of course, to request some flat funding this year, in the amount of $22,000. And I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the V&A? Mr. All set. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the trip down.
That's my pleasure. It's the trip back I'm worried about.
There you go.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Meals on Wheels? Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I go? He has to go to
Yeah.
another
I'm
budget
sorry.
meeting, so if nobody minds letting
Can
him
we-
bump.
Yeah, do you mind?
Sorry.
Yeah.
No
Oh, I'm
problem.
sorry.
He's got a meeting in New Durham at
Okay,
six
who's this
thirty.
gentleman here?
Zach Porter from the Kingswood Youth Center.
Be page 135.
Sorry about that, Zach.
Oh, no sweat. No, thank you to the other agencies as well as the committee for letting me nose in. The New Durham, town of New Durham has their budget committee meeting tonight at 6:30. They were gracious as well in saying that I could be a little late, so I'll represent the Kingswood Youth Center down there shortly. I'm Zachary Porter. I'm with the Kingswood Youth Center. We want to give a huge thank you to the town of Wolfeboro for many, many years of really impactful support. We are requesting level funding for the 2023 year in the amount of $5,000. I'll really quickly familiarize you with our services and some quick agency updates, and then I'd be more than happy to take any questions you might have. We operate here in Wolfeboro, serving 7th through 12th grade students in the 7 towns of the Governor Wentworth Regional School District. All our programs are free. All of our programs are geared towards the mission to provide a safe and positive environment in which youth may grow, learn, and develop life skills critical to their success in the adult world. All our programs include a free hot meal. Our major programs include our after-school program, that's daily after school. We also have our beyond the after-school programs, so those go later into the evening as well as each school vacation. So for example, we hosted our after-school program today. This evening, due to the weather, we turned our campfire night into a game night, and we have a wonderful group of about 20 participants enjoying some nice home-cooked beef stew and a game night with peers. We have a full schedule of summer programs. We expanded that this past summer, offering more free programs than ever before throughout the summer, and that consisted of full day as well as half day and evening programs. We do our Club 121 individual mentoring program, and that is small group and individual programs that use a combination of peer-to-peer mentoring and staff to youth mentoring in an effort to really focus on participants' individual interests, needs, and emergent interests. Additionally, we have free clothing regularly available to teens through our KYC Closet, a free thrift store. And then we're very proud of our free food pantry, the KYC Cupboard. Each year we distribute 20,000 pounds of free food through that resource to the families of local teens. We just finished distributing 30 complete Thanksgiving meals to 30 different local families. Wolfeboro is historically consistently our second most represented town, second to the town of Ossipee. We serve about 100 students each year, and Wolfeboro usually represents about 1/4 of those students. Our programs are broad. They focus on the instruction of life skills arts and creativity, leadership and team building, general positive peer engagement, substance misuse prevention, lots of community service. We adopted a plot right back here at the community garden all summer. We've been helping the Rotary Club with the Christmas tree sale. We were out for Halloween passing out candy. So being right here in Wolfeboro with all the robust happenings, there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. We also received town funding from the towns of Ossipee, Tuftonboro, and New Durham. And again, we thank you so much for the support we've received from Wolfeboro, and I'm more than happy to address any questions.
Any questions for Zach? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering how much you're getting from the other towns?
Yes, certainly. So last year, we received 5,000 from Ossipee, 3,000 from Tuftonboro, 1,500 from New Durham, and we are requesting level funding for each of those towns.
Okay, any other questions, Tom?
I'm looking at your balance sheet, and your current assets are $713,000.
Yes.
What are those made up of? Well, I see they're made up of bonds and things like that, but as a nonprofit, are you allowed to hold that kind of cash?
That is our endowment fund. We're really fortunate to have that for the sake of sustainability. We're paying off our beautiful property on Center Street. Our budget is about $206,000 a year, and we've made it a goal at the board level and the management level to gradually build that fund and put aside money to ensure the sustainability of the organization. So we're in our 22nd year of serving youth in this community, and as we mature, having that endowment, having that nest egg invested for moderate growth is what's going to keep us sustainable, serving youth for
Do
generations.
you have a yearly pull from that?
We typically do not need that. So we've
So it's
been
a
very
full
fortunate. We have not needed that in recent years.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I see
You're
the
welcome.
investment income is about $10,000 on 713. Have you gone out and kind of shopped your portfolio for different advice, or?
We have, yes, and so we're in a moderate balance portfolio, so it is bond heavy, and that's for sustainability. This is the community's money, and we have taken advantage of the improved interest rates. So now we're in a number of CDs, and we're earning a guaranteed approximately 4% on those.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All set, Zach. Thank you so
Thank
much
you so
for coming in.
much.
Okay, now we'll do Meals on Wheels.
Page 47.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good, thanks.
My name is Cheryl Dempsey, I'm the treasurer for Meals on Wheels. And thank you for your past funding of our essential program. You may know that Wolfeboro's Meals on Wheels serves 3 towns, Wolfeboro, Ossipee, and not Ossipee, Wolfeboro, Tuftonboro, and Brookfield. The majority of our clients are from Wolfeboro, 68%. We do receive funding from Brookfield and Tuftonboro in proportion to the number of their residents who receive meals. You may know that the meals are prepared here in Wolfeboro by Huggins Hospital. They're packaged by our staff members, paid staff members, and delivered to our clients via volunteer drivers. Last year we delivered 11,254 meals. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Okay, any questions for Meals on Wheels? Thanks for coming in. Oops, I'm sorry, John, do you have a question?
Just a quick question, where do you get your food? From the food basket?
No, from Huggins Hospital.
Beg your
From
pardon?
Huggins Hospital, they
Huggins
prepare the food and we pay for the meals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the Children's Center, please.
Page 53.
Hi, Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Good evening. I'm Terry Ann Cox. I'm the Executive Director at the Children's Center at 180 South Main Street, just down the road. Most of you know that as we approach 50 years, we've been there serving children and their families for affordable, high-quality childcare and early education. We start at 6 weeks old. I was holding one of our newer born this morning, and we go through preschool with our preschool program, but also have a before and after school program that also serves our youth up to age 13. We are looking for, again, a level funding of $10,000 to support the Wolfeboro families who cannot completely qualify for a full state scholarship. Typically, these families do index higher, or the largest proportion of the families that we serve with our support are from Wolfeboro, usually about 60%. That said, there are 9 other towns that we have children come in from, and the other town that we do receive some funding from is Tufton Borough. Based on the letter that I wrote earlier, we do project that the tuition assistance for Wolfeboro families is likely going to be about $20,000 for the next fiscal year. We currently are back to full enrollment. As you know, the pandemic challenged all of us, but we are currently fully enrolled, and we serve anywhere from 150 to 160 families total, with a full-time equivalent of any given time of about 110. So with that, though, I know you have a lot of other agencies to hear from. Are there any questions I can answer?
Any questions for the Children's Center folks? Seeing none, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, and thank you very much for your support.
Okay, Tri-County Community Action Program.
It's my understanding due to the weather, they're not gonna be here this
They're
evening.
gonna be rescheduled.
Okay. Life Ministries.
Page 117. That's correct, 117, 117.
Thank you.
Good
Good evening. My name is Bill Connors. I'm the president of the board of Life Ministries Food Pantry. I will give you the same basic overview that I presented to the Board of Selectmen a few months ago, so it's somewhat updated. The food pantry is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded in 1985. It's overseen by a 15-member board of directors and operated by about 65 volunteers. Our mission is to provide access to food security to qualified members of the community with dignity and respect. The food pantry was founded as an outreach of 7 local churches, and we do take our clients' overall well-being and proper treatment and making their experience a welcoming one very seriously. Since we provide sufficient food at each distribution to prepare 10 meals per family member per week. And since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, we've operated on a drive-through basis on the first and third Wednesdays of every month. During 2021, the food pantry distributed a total of 136,477 meals. We saw a slight drop in our numbers during 2021, but as economic pressure has tightened down families, demand has increased steadily in recent months. As of today, we've distributed 139,182 meals for the year to date. That represents an increase of about 14% over the same period in 2021. During the first few months of the year, we were averaging about 110 families at each distribution. That slowly climbed to about 120 to 130 during the summer months. And since September, demand has risen dramatically, and that's something that most food pantries throughout New England are experiencing. The initial increase was largely a result of the increase in inflation, The sharper increase right now seems to be the impact of increased home heating costs as the cold weather has kicked in. In October, we served 165 families. The first week of November, we had 157, and Thanksgiving was a record breaker for us. We served 194 families last week. And in the month of November alone, we've enrolled 23 new clients. The food pantry is funded solely through grants and donations, and we're fortunate to live in such a generous and caring community. And although we purchase much of our food at low cost through the New Hampshire Food Bank, inflation has even increased those costs. So, however, we are requesting level funding in the amount of 115. You would throw me out of here, wouldn't it? $15,000. So I ask again for your favorable consideration of our request, and I thank you on behalf of the Board of Directors, the extraordinary group of volunteers that serve us, and most of all, the grateful clients that we serve. Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How do you expect to fill the shortfall with increased clientele and level funding from us and maybe others?
We're hoping for a good donation season in the next few weeks. We will be getting our holiday basket fundraiser that we do jointly with the Rotary Club every year, which is our largest fundraiser of the year. So we're managing, and we think we're pretty well prepared.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, senior center and meals.
I'll be presenting that one.
155.
What page?
155.
Thank you.
You
Go ahead,
ready?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm Amy Capone-Muccio. I am currently the board president of the Wolfeboro Senior Center and Meals. I do have one of my board members here, Nancy Bell. So we're asking for level funding. We have revamped since COVID. We are actively looking for a permanent location to have a senior center. We've learned a lot from this process. Instead of a cook right now, we have hired a program coordinator to arrange activities and events. We have worked with Granite State V&A, who has hosted a foot clinic for us and partnered with a lot of other programs. We also learned out of the process, we're actually going into the ledges once a month. We started this in September, and Bald Peak has given us a $2,500 grant to help with that as well. We are bringing food into the old Herb Vinicombe dining room where they used to have food on a regular basis. And that went away many years ago with changes in federal guidelines. So those folks, actually, many of them don't drive. They can walk to activities, or they might not walk at all. So we've had September, October, November, where our Christmas one will be December 15th, and we have 40 residents come between Christian Ridge and the Ledges down for those lunches. And we do a craft and talk with them. This month we actually have some music coming for them. They had wanted to know if the Country Boys, I don't know if you remember them, with Harold Chamberlain, and so he's coming next month. And from that we do other outside activities. We've met a lot of new people that have moved to Wolfeboro that are used to having a senior center. So we have a calendar coming out next month. I guess on that note, I'll take questions.
Any questions for Amy?
So is it more like a combination of social and dinner gathering kind of thing, as
Yeah,
opposed to
well,
an emphasis on the food kind of thing? More like
Our
it sounds like
emphasis used to be more on food,
that's more
and the
like
mission statement is actually supposed to be focused on the socialization
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
So we've kind of reversed. We're trying to focus on the socialization and having activities. The first few activities we had after COVID, we had music, and they kept talking to each other over the music because they hadn't talked to people in so long that we've discovered we're gonna start next month, January, every second Thursday, having a regular 10 to 11:30 time where
Is that
people
gonna be at the seniors,
Community
calling the
center.
seniors down on the?
Community center on Laner Street.
Okay,
Yeah.
Old Fire Station,
Yeah,
okay. Thanks.
you can come if you'd like.
Hey, count me in.
It's gonna be busy at the dogs,
Yeah.
When's that starting, in January, Amy? Is that-
January 12th is the first one.
Thank you. Any more questions for Amy concerning the senior center? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
John?
yes, sir.
Did we skip a couple? Are we out of order with these people not
Yeah,
here?
there's some people that can't make it because of the weather.
Starting Point and Northern Human Services?
Yeah, that's because of the weather.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Leanne's gonna reschedule them.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Caregivers of Southern Carroll County.
Page 159.
Hi, my name is Chris Rose, and I am a coordinator and a driver. Our treasurer is out of town, our president is ill, and I got the short straw. Our organization has been in effect for 34 years. We take clients from Wolfeboro, Tuftonboro, Ossipee, and Alton to their medical appointments, from their house and to the appointment. Half of our income is funded by the 4 towns, and this year we have reduced our request by $500 due to the fact that for the last 2 years we have had to stop because of COVID. During that time, we still were in effect for cancer patients who needed to go for chemo or radiation, and we would take them, but other than that, we were not driving. Our major expense is 90% for the volunteer drivers. We pay 45 cents a mile over 50 miles, but temporarily, because of the price of gas, we have raised it now to 55 cents. And when it goes back down, we will reduce it again, hopefully. I don't know. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for caregivers of Southern Carroll County?
I got something, John.
Sure.
My next door neighbor here today put a lot of miles on today.
He does not only put a number of miles, he has done 1,200 miles this month.
Wow.
Great job.
It's something I can do, it keeps my mind going, I just feel good about it.
And it is one of the reasons we need more drivers, so that we are so afraid of overworking John. And he's going to turn around and say, I can't do anymore. So please, if anyone is interested in driving, you don't have to give a specific time. We call you. If you can't do it, you say no. You can drive once a week, you can drive once a month. It all depends, and that's my spiel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for coming in.
Okay, all right. Cards. Okay.
Okay, dinner bell, please.
165.
I'm Bill Peterson. I'm the rector at All Saints Church right across the street, where on every Thursday evening we host Dinner Bell, which is a community meal open to the community. We put baskets on the table and accept free will offerings, and we are funded by those gifts, by the stipend from the town, and on years as last year, when we have a shortfall, it comes out of the rector's discretionary fund at the church. This year, we have moved back from just doing pickups in the parking lot to in-person dining as well as pickups. We feed 50 to 60 people on a weekly basis and work with a slew of volunteers to do that, and one paid cook. We have hosted the program at All Saints for long before I was there. I've been managing it for 8 years. I think it was 4 or 5 years prior to that that it's been in the parish hall at All Saints Church. And it is like sitting at a diner. You never know who's going to be at your table, and it really is about not only providing food, but a night out for families or individuals that might otherwise eat alone. Questions? We're asking for level funding again this year.
Mr. Peterson, what time is that on Thursdays?
It's at 5 o'clock is dinner. And for those that pick up meals to go, we do 4 to 6 p.m. And you have to call, we recommend you call the church ahead of time. We've been putting the menus in the Granite State News, and people that are on the email list get the updated menus, and they can be on for reservations on a permanent basis or during the summer and fall, off in the winter if they're away.
Do you think any questions for Mr. Peterson, dinner bell? Thank you for coming in, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, CASA of New Hampshire.
Page 167.
Good evening, I'm Frances Mitchell. I'm a CASA advocate and I'm filling in for Sarah Bergeron.
You've got to speak up.
I'm sorry?
Just talk a little louder, some of them.
Oh, me too. I use my phone to hear actually, so I understand. Yes, I will speak up, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Start from the beginning?
No.
I'm Frances Mitchell. Is that better? I'm a CASA advocate and I'm filling in for Tara Bergeron this evening. CASA means Court-Appointed Special Advocate, and we CASAs represent children in abuse and neglect cases. We are the voices of the children. And we, CASA, thanks Wolfeboro for their ongoing support. If a CASA cannot be appointed in a court case, the court must appoint an attorney. And because all the CASAs are volunteers, we save the state of New Hampshire approximately $3 million a year in legal fees. So what we do is we meet with the children, the parents, and the providers at least once a month. We write reports, we attend court, we make suggestions to the judges that we think are in the best interest of the children. And although I can't give us specifics on any cases, I can tell you that many years ago I had a case far from here with a very young father and a baby who lived with a relative. And because the relative helped take care of the baby, I will call the relative and the father the parents just for tonight. There were problems within that home. And because the father had been raised primarily in foster care, DCYF decided to ask the court to do an in-home case. And then in-home case is where the child stays in the home, and CASA and DCYF and all the workers go in and help the child in the home. And so that was the case. The parents were not too receptive at first, but when they started to see how the child responded, they responded. And they really drew close to us and worked very carefully with us, to the point that the case that usually takes a year took 6 months. And at the end of the case, the father said to me, because of all the help we have received, it's changed my life, and it's changed the life of my child, and therefore I am continuing in counseling. And I thought that was a very, very fine ending. I was very happy with that. Due to a substantial case and severity of cases all through the counties, CASA is hoping that the town of Wolfeboro will consider donating $2,000 this year to cover the full cost of training of an advocate, which is $2,000. With the case numbers rising, it is becoming increasingly difficult for us to supplement that $1,000 difference, and therefore we are asking you to think about this. Thank you for your time, and are there any questions?
Questions? I've got one. How many families did you service in Wolfboro last year?
I'm sorry, how many families do I service?
Did you
I'm sorry.
service from Wolfboro, Wolfboro people?
I do not know that number. I can get that for you. I do know that it has increased substantially this year. I will find out that number and get back to you within 2 days.
Okay, just going through, you provided a list of other towns that have given us, which you've received money from. It seems like Wolfboro and Conway are the two highest towns in Carroll County that pay the most for your services. Can you tell me why that is?
I cannot. I'm an advocate and I'm filling in for Sarah tonight, but I will find out from Sarah.
Okay.
How many families in Wolfboro, and what was your other question?
Why is Wolfboro and Conway paying the most compared to all the other communities in Carroll County? Ossipee, Tuftonboro, Moultonboro, Wakefield.
I understand.
Thank you.
And I will ask her, and I will get back to you.
Thank
John,
you.
I think they have that information on 175.
I understand that, John. I saw that. I'm asking a question why
Oh.
Wolfboro and Conway are paying the most.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
just one, ma'am,
Oh,
the, well, the Board of Selectmen granted them $1,000. The lady asked for an increase of $2,000.
Yeah, they didn't ask us for 2,000, they just asked for
I
level funding.
understand that, but the mechanics of this is, we have to do something right now if we're gonna grant that request. So I'll make a motion
Okay, what's your motion?
to up CASA's grant to $2,000.
Second.
Second.
John's a third.
Okay, third.
Did you hear what they did? They voted to make the increase.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, I'm just concerned, I'd really like to know why we're paying as much as Conway, we're the same as any other town in Conway, and all the other towns aren't paying that money. And I don't think we should feel, they may want $2,000, but it's not our responsibility, our community's responsibility to fund that extra position all by ourselves. It should be shared with the other towns. So they should be asking Conway for more money, Tuftonboro for more money, and divide it up between everybody. It shouldn't be just us paying for the services provided for the whole county.
I get that. I do recall, CASA has a tendency to be reluctant to give us specific numbers on how many cases they have in each town. And I'm thinking that's most likely because they're trying to preserve some privacy for the people who get the services. So that's why I didn't think you were out of line by not knowing the numbers, because I don't recall CASA being very specific with the numbers over the years, so for the
We don't want
reasons
specific number, specific people, just the number, which is very, and you know,
Yeah.
so. And I agree with John, I would just as soon wait until we find out about how they choose a number and why Wolfboro is more. So I wouldn't vote on this motion until I get that information.
Well,
For me.
I could withdraw the motion and make a motion to revisit if my second wants to withdraw.
Second
I'll
agree?
withdraw under those circumstances.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, I make a motion to revisit the CASA grant.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? The motion is to withdraw the current motion and revisit this at a later date once we have the numbers from the folks from CASA. Everyone understand that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Leanne, could you schedule it? You put that down?
Right over here.
Okay, you're all set, ma'am, thank you. If you get that information to us, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, so we didn't approve the 2,000. Oh, you got that? Okay.
I got it. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Okay.
Okay, 68 hours of hunger, please.
They're not gonna be here this evening.
They won't be
They're
able
here
to.
tomorrow.
Okay. How about Children Unlimited?
Yes, they're here.
Oh, good.
Page 209.
I wanted to start by saying thank you so much for all your support. One of the wonderful things that we find in working in this wonderful community is the support that families receive, and it's so necessary and so vital, and without it, we wouldn't be able to do the programming that we have. My name is Kathy Livingston, and I'm the director of the Family Connections Resource Center at Children Unlimited. We're one of 11 resource centers in New Hampshire, and we hold the contract for comprehensive family support services to Carroll County. We seek to strengthen families by promoting health, well-being, self-sufficiency, and positive parenting through support and education. Resource centers are a place for families to go for skill building, empowerment, resources, and referrals to gain access to other community resources. Our services are provided through classes as well as individual and family support. We collaborate with other agencies and receive referrals from all areas of the community, including doctors, mental health professionals, DCYF, schools, and the families themselves. The number of families that we see in each town fluctuates, but our program is always available, regardless of the increase or decrease. Last year, we were able to support 11 families in Wolfeboro, and so far, through this fiscal year, which began July 1st, we've worked with 5 families. One of the things that we're working on is collaborating with agencies and hearing from families what it is they need. And so we've been able to meet with families here in the library so that families don't have to travel to Children Unlimited in Conway to meet with a family support provider. So we're very happy to be able to collaborate and very thankful for all your support in the past. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Thank you, ma'am.
I left some brochures if anybody would like some, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good evening. Okay, anyone else for agencies that haven't called? No? Let's just go through welfare. Amy, you're all set for that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Welfare is located under page 1 of the agency grants.
Amy, can you tell us a little bit about the program that's going on with the welfare department?
Okay, I'm Amy Capone Muccio. I put on my other hat as the town welfare administrator. The town is required by New Hampshire RSA to have someone to administer welfare for those in need, and the types of services that I assist with are your basic needs of rent and utility bills. A lot of things, something I get in the last few years have been cremation requests and things like that. These other agencies that we just all heard from tonight are my community partners, where I could probably tell you a story of everyone on this list from my office who's received a service from one of these programs. So I'm very grateful for all of them. The one thing I did, I pulled a report, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you or not, but this is the revenue side where reimbursed welfare. And part of the big push where people have sold their homes over the past year. So since January, I have brought back in to the general fund $25,563.27. And that's because when someone owns their home, I lien the property for that, for the amount that they receive. When they sell their home, that comes back to us.
Is that lien just for if they want to pay the mortgage, or does that include
Yeah,
everything?
if they had a foreclosure notice,
Okay.
is usually when I would see someone. The other would be, for a burial or a cremation expense, that's a common one. I try not to lien for, heating fuel, cause it's kind of a one-time thing before it was $500 or $600, who knows this year. But we've been very fortunate that the Energy Committee created the Warmth and More Fund, and there's about $12,000 in it now, and they're on an active campaign with a goal to raise $50,000, because we don't know where the winter is gonna go. And I receive regular donations on that.
Okay, any questions for Amy for welfare? Thank you. Appreciate it.
John?
Yes, John.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going through the lines. So, I just have, one little thing, 845 direct assistance rent. Last year, we approved 50,000, and actuals as of October, the end of October, 49,205. So are you over that by much at this point?
I printed today's report. I'm at 49,205 still, but I have about 3 applications I'm gonna be approving, so,
So I see,
I
I see your number came down a little bit, and I think John and I have asked this before, you comfortable with your number?
it's always an unknown. I mean, I can't predict. I've been comfortable with that number for a number of years. I'm really uncomfortable about heating fuel, but I feel confident that the charitable fund will probably come through for me.
I mean, it's not a
I
big.
just don't know what to say about rent.
Okay, I'll leave it alone then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How much have you spent, Amy, for utilities?
To date,
Yeah.
I have $157.64, and I won't use anything out of utilities.
Okay.
From here on out to the end of the year, because I will use the Warmth and More Fund for
Direct assistance?
the other line.
Yeah.
The other line is $2,934.
Okay.
Regularly, I've been currently using that line, for travel expenses to the shelter in Manchester.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
John?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. On the line for food, what do? Give them money to go down to the store and buy food?
I do not. I have an account with, Hunters, and if it's something they cannot get with the local food pantry, or on occasion when I have someone who's homeless, I let them go over there, give them a voucher.
Okay.
And the voucher is specific to food items only. Or if they need to purchase something that would be unique, from the grocery store, formula or diapers, something like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's jump to the library.
We got a EDC in here?
They're not gonna be here tonight. Not coming.
I have one more seat if Nancy comes.
I just found out myself. Ladies, nice to see you again.
Hey, John.
Hello there.
With Linda and I here, we could do the EDC, because we're both representatives of the EDC.
Okay, we'll do it after we went to the library. Ladies?
Good evening. I'm Joyce Davis. I am Assistant Director and currently co-acting Director along with Jeannie Snowden, our Children's Librarian.
And everybody, I think, knows me. I'm Cindy Scott, former library director and currently a library consultant.
Welcome, ladies. Want to tell us a little bit how the library's doing?
Yes, happy to. So the library has seen a huge increase in activity this year. Meeting rooms have increased usage by 76% over the last year, with over 1,100 uses from January to October this year. We're accommodating many town boards and committees, as you know, in groups like Carroll County GED, AARP Tax Prep Program, the Chamber, Governor Wentworth's Arts Council, several groups of the newcomers, a local bridge players group, Ladies of the Lake Quilters, a knitting circle, a mahjong club, Bible study groups, and many homeowners associations. And we have 2 small private study rooms that are filled every day, pretty much all day long as well. They're used by tutors and their students, self-employed small business owners, people studying for exams or taking online tests. Now that COVID seems to be waning, we've seen real growth in our program attendance as well. Our children's story time regularly maxes out the capacity in this room. Our youth services librarian has done a great job expanding programming to include teens and tweens. And we've begun vigorous partnering on programming with outside organizations, including Wolfeboro Senior Meals, Granite VNA, Wolfeboro Parks and Rec, Lakes Region Genealogy, Carroll County Adult Ed, Sugar Hill, Brewster Academy, and New Hampshire Humanities. Our adult programs promoting technology skills such as Tech Tuesdays and courses on Windows and using your cell phone have been really popular, so we're planning to increase them next year. We issued 322 new library cards to residents this year and 144 non-residents purchase cards to date this year. And we have over 6,700 registered library card holders. Our checkouts of physical items such as books, DVDs, CDs, and magazines remains constant, and our circulation of downloadable ebooks and audiobooks continues to see strong growth. So we're really happy to be moving out of COVID and into a new era, hopefully.
And you also accommodate the budget committee. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Let's go with the 100 series. Jim, do these figures reflect whatever grades that everyone's gonna get?
They do not.
Okay, so do you have any idea what that's gonna be?
I'm proposing to give that to the Board of Selectmen on Wednesday evening for discussion. And from that point, we'll make a decision. The reason we're holding off this year is because we had 2 negotiations which are taking place. We're close to buttoning those negotiations up.
Okay, so you'll contact these ladies, let them know what the raise is, and you'll provide us with the numbers and everything?
We will, what we traditionally do is reach out to the trustees, let them know what the, where we're going with the non-union staff, and they usually will follow suit. And
Great.
Casey and I will make those adjustments in the budget book once we get the thumbs up from the trustees.
Great, thank you. Cindy, you guys all set with that?
Yes.
Okay, any questions on the 100 series? 200 series. Again, some of these numbers will change because of Social Security retirement. So, 200. What are the outside services there, that line, what is that used for? Line 380.
What page is that, Cindy?
Page 3.
Okay, outside services, alarm system, cloud and email services, internet service, wireless hosting, QuickBooks services, website hosting, consulting services, technology management services, and our Aspet interactive service, which is a feature of our website.
Okay, that went up 7,000. Did you add something, or did something go up in price, or?
Well, the consulting services have gone up.
Okay.
Who's the consultant?
Well, right now, we're using 2 consultants, Cindy being one, since we don't have an active director. And we're also using an IT person for, we have an open IT position right now, and we've been using a consultant to come in and help us out with some issues.
Okay, great, thank you.
John, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Line 320 on legal. Can we explain what that is?
Yeah, that's good catch. I was gonna wonder about that.
Oh, okay,
Why don't you wait on that line right now? We'll discuss that later. Okay, thank you.
okay.
That's an issue that should be discussed later.
John, I had a question on
Yes, John.
320 legal.
We're gonna discuss that later.
Oh, I beg
We're
pardon?
gonna discuss that a little later.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
400 series?
Excuse me, John. Line 380, I'd like to comment on that, if I may.
Sure.
Your average is 16,000, and I'm wondering if the 20K of consulting, is that totally Cindy, or is that more?
No.
It's not totally me.
I guess I'm a little fuzzy if with the detail. I mean, we're talking about 35,000 between consulting and tech management, and I'm just, that seems a little heavy.
The tech management services, that's Block 5, which is the same company that the town contracts with for their sort of hardware and
Yeah, it would be a higher level technology management for hardware, ensuring software is compatible. We have an IT person, but that person is more of information systems and lower level troubleshooting. The higher level gets into ensuring the programs are up to speed. It pays for, at least on the town end, it pays for the email accounts, the software updates, et cetera. And I assume it's probably similar. I haven't seen the contract with the library, but I assume it's something similar.
So another question on 380. What do you think that actual for 2022 will end up being? So now it's 38K. Is it going to be 40, 42? Is it done? What are you looking at?
I'm thinking it'll probably be around 41, 42,000.
Because I'd like to see if you could make that 45 more like 42. Is that possible?
At this point, we're waiting for a few more pieces of information to come in.
Okay. I'll just put it on the last verse and we'll review it later.
That would be good, Steve, thank you.
That sounds.
Which line was that again, Steve?
380.
380.
The 380 line revisit?
Okay, 400 series.
Yeah, I have a question on line 435. Building maintenance.
Okay.
5-year average has been $5,500, and we're talking about going from 13,000 to 21K, and this miscellaneous cleaning of $5,500. What's that?
Well, the building the exterior of the building is really filthy. It has a lot of bug stuff on it, and we'd like to have that cleaned. The building is, even though it's new, it's still getting older. It needs more maintenance than it did in the past. We haven't had the carpets cleaned or any thorough cleaning on the inside of the building. And just little things are starting to go.
I've seen that as I've driven up in the summer. I'm like, the outside could definitely use a good power washing.
Yep.
And there hasn't been any money to do the.
And the windows could use a good scrubbing on the outside because it's just.
I'm all for clean buildings, and I would be a strong advocate for rugs and so on and so forth. The exterior, to go up to 55%, I'd rather see us have that figure more realistic to the 5-year average as well as to what we approved for last year.
There's also an additional contract for some of the electronics in the building that we did not realize we needed an additional service maintenance contract on. So there's been some things, once everything came off the warranties, there was one contract that we discovered after the budget was done last year. So there's been a couple of surprises, as well as it's really important to get on top of the maintenance of the building.
When you clean a building, I do my house regularly, and I power wash it, you find things that need to be repaired when you do that. You leave mold, mildew, and things on a building, it degrades the structure. It's maintenance. Part of maintenance is a thorough cleaning inside and out of a building that costs a lot of money to build.
I don't know if this will help put it into perspective at all. You know, that miscellaneous cleaning for $5,500, you know, if that is the interior cleaning of the building, public safety building is $6,800 a year, and we've budgeted that fairly regularly for biweekly cleanings of the floors. So I think that number is fairly reasonable given the size of the facility.
I guess I'm just a little discouraged with the new building and the 5-year average, why we didn't anticipate some of these costs and build it in over the past number of years.
You know.
And if you look at the 5-year average, you're actually including, while the other building, the much smaller building was, so if you're actually doing 5 years, and you're also including costs when we had all these warranties, so you're using figures where there are all these warranties, it's very difficult to do a 5-year average. It really should be just a 2-year average at this point while we're settling into the new building.
Yeah, a brand new building needs zero cleaning the first year, zero cleaning the second year, and by the 5th year, it needs cleaning.
Thanks for the input.
Yeah, I understand that, but this is a new building. We spent a whole bunch of money building this library, and the building maintenance and the cost to upkeep what is an upgraded building seems a little bit out of the ballpark. That's just my opinion.
I'd like to revisit that later after we get a final figure for that 12.5, what you're gonna end up spending, or closer to the end of December.
John?
Yes, sir.
The only problem with that, Steve, is that we probably won't have that number until we're almost at our public hearing. So a revisit would be a little difficult.
Do you want me to make a motion now then, is that what you're saying? Because I'd like to reduce it.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'd like to get the information, and then at some point, whether it's next meeting or meeting after that.
Well, you're asking for a number that we won't know until January. So I'm just saying.
Well, I guess I could maybe an updated number, because this is through October 2022, so maybe we can get an updated number through November. How's that?
Well, that would be more reasonable. You would know that in December, and a revisit, we could revisit this at the end of December. That would be more reasonable.
When we do our go through it, sure. Works for me, Bob.
Someone will let us know when that meeting is, right?
We will.
The revisit night is December 20th, the general revisit, so I'll schedule you for that.
Okay. 500 series.
Five 62, you have a budget and advertising of 3, and you've expended 3,000 plus. What are you advertising on? And do you think 1,500 is realistic, or can we get it back? Does that need to go higher than that, or can we get it back lower than that?
I think 1,500 is reasonable. That $3,000 included job search advertising on a website Indeed that didn't give us the results that we wanted to, and it was really expensive. So the $1,500 would, I think, adequately cover the public notices that we have to, and that comes under advertising, the public notices and the advertising for the open director's position and any other positions that we may have to advertise in the year. So I think 1,500 would cover it.
Okay, 600 series.
Say 600, John?
Yes, sir.
I got a question on the 638 propane. I'm just curious. Your request was 4,053. Town manager kept the same number, and then that was reduced to 1,794 by the Board of Selectmen. Do you know why that was reduced?
Yep, I think, okay, the 4,053 is what we came up with for the, well, it's the propane for the generator that we don't have yet, that should be installed next year. And that was the, Cindy, do you want to?
Yeah, so basically anticipating the installation of this generator, which is on order, and expected to arrive sometime about a year in the fall. And when we priced the cost of the propane, we contacted a company and looked up the average cost for propane at that time. So that was where that number came from. I believe this number is actually the cost that was negotiated, that the town had, and it was changed to that number during the Board of Selectmen process to the amount that the town was currently paying for propane that they had negotiated.
So, then you're probably not gonna fire this thing up until the next October, November anyway, you think?
Correct.
So 1,794 should be a good number anyway.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 700 series. 800.
John, I have a question.
Yes, John.
820. Professional development, how come you only had $50 this year and you still want 600?
Well, most of the opportunities for professional development in the past couple of years have been largely online because of COVID. There haven't been that many opportunities to travel to conferences or whatever.
You think you will spend 1,600, 600?
600, oh, I think so, with the number of employees that we have. We haven't,
Thank
yes.
you.
We haven't taken the
We'll see
opportunities to do
you
so.
spend that
Sorry.
next year.
Hopefully there'll be more ability to attend conferences and meeting of the county libraries and other groups.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, John?
Yes, sir.
On 850 miscellaneous operating expense, is this number correct? You expended 34,848 and 59 cents?
That let's see, 850. Okay, so that number is based on the amount, the way the town did it this year is different than we've done it in the past. So basically, we got some of the money. It used to be all the money was given to us and then we would reimburse the town for wages and benefits and telephone and things like that. But this year, we received the sort of general operating stuff, and the town retained all of the stuff that they normally pay for us. So that number reflects the balance that's left of the money that they gave to us.
Okay, and on the explanation sheet, it kind of explains what you just said, I think, miscellaneous revenues, and it talks about trust funds, donations, fee income, equipment income, 35,400. That would be a similar.
Right, because normally in the past, we've sort of separated what the town gave us from what we were gonna have, and we only accounted with the town what the town gave us. But now we're doing gross, the gross amount, which includes the money from the private side, in all the expenses are clumped together, and so that's where that number shows where we are with, on what the library has received from the town at the beginning of the year in a lump sum for us to spend on operating costs.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the library folks?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is there any opportunity to generate income, or has the town made a decision that all people using this facility for meetings and club activities are pro bono?
The Board of Selectmen does not have authority over what happens in this budget. It's the trustees of the library that does.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm looking at, this ongoing maintenance issue. The more people, the greater the facility usage, and is there an opportunity to perhaps gain some income from some maybe private versus public?
I guess that would be a question for the trustees to
exactly,
take up, yeah.
It's an observation.
The library does receive donations from groups that use the facility.
Okay, interesting.
So that has been helpful.
That might be something you might want to report,
Along those lines, is it possible, or are there some rules against it, to charge, if you will, for the use of the rooms?
That's my point.
There's no prohibition.
Okay.
The thing is, when you start charging, you're going to, an association's not gonna have a trouble, but if you have a club, like a stamp club or a Girl Scout group or something, there's different kinds of groups that in the past, obviously some of this has changed since I was working here regularly, couldn't afford to use the library. So, if you're charging a fee, because they don't have that kind of thing. There's people who play bridge, in the library. So they might make a donation, but some of these groups they can't afford, so you would be closing out groups of people.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. It was just a kind of editorial question.
Right.
We do charge non-residents who use the facilities to check material out or to download for a library card.
Go ahead, Brian.
I could be wrong, or my memory could be wrong. Wasn't there a recent warrant article that dealt with a lot of landscaping work to be done outside?
Yes.
And what's the status of that?
Okay, so yes, the warrant article was last year to give us the ability to raise through private funds up to $250,000 for to complete the landscaping. We did put out we have a plan in place. We put out this fall a request for proposal and did get some bids back and couldn't come to an agreement with any of the bidders. So the project is going to be rebid again, probably in the early part of next year.
And that's all private money.
Yeah, the generator, that was even prior to that, I believe. And is there gonna be any issue with the price, the funds for that generator? I thought that.
I can speak to that a little bit. So, Dave Ford was previously working on that in conjunction with a couple other sewer pump station projects. The generator has been ordered. The generator is scheduled to arrive at some point, probably late next summer. Part of the issue is when they designed this building, the building was not designed, the electrical infrastructure was not designed to be able to accept a generator. So there's going to have to be some work that's being done on that. We are currently working with an electrical engineer. There may be an alternative option to configure it, which may not be as expensive, but it is an issue to get the generator operational. We are also hopeful that with this location being designated as a heating cooling shelter, to be able to get some offsetting grant money from the state, Homeland Security, to pay for some of that. So those are all things that are actively taking place right now. I hope that answers your question, Ryan.
Jim? So, the way I understand it, this building's strictly a heat pump, air source heat pump for heating and cooling, so that might have something to do with this issue that.
No, it's the way that the panel is set up.
Okay.
It's a panel configuration issue to be able to accept the transfer switch. It's beyond my scope. The only thing I know is when the electrical engineer came in, looked at it, he gave us a number that really scared us. Since that time, other options have been looked at, and we're currently working with that electrical engineer. His name is Lee Carroll. So he's working on that, and he's also working on the sewer pump station generator design.
Okay. Question?
Yes, sir.
When you say the number scared you, the conversion of the current situation with the panel to accept the generator, the numbers involved in doing that conversion were a little scary?
They were a lot scary. They were in excess of $100,000.
More than the cost of the generator.
Okay, any other things for the library people, library folks?
And I just want to make this clear that, you know, this is no fault of the people who are managing this project, whether it be the trustees, whether it be Cindy. You know, this is really something that fell apart early on. And, you know, the question was asked, and at that time, that was not the way it was configured, and here we are today. So hopefully, this alternative will be code compliant. That's the only way it'll happen, and it will be able to accept the generator and do it at a much more reasonable price tag.
And you're pursuing grants of one kind or another?
We're always pursuing grants.
Okay, any other questions for the folks in the library?
One,
Yes, sir.
will we have a number to talk about before this is all over? Will we have a number to talk about as far as the total cost of the generator plus this fix that we have to do?
No, so what we're.
I guess what I'm asking is, are we talking about an additional warrant article, or what are we talking about?
Don't know at this point, Bob, point blank.
Okay.
You know, the fact is, the generator's not gonna be here for a year.
Right. Understand.
The fact is, you know, we're hopeful to be able to ascertain some of that grant money, to be able to offset those costs. We also, you know, we do have building maintenance capital reserve funds, but we also do have some monies left over from the bond to build this building.
Oh, okay, all right.
So they,
Rough number?
so that number is about 100,000, but we've got some parking lot issues that have to be resolved. So there's that will be tapped into for that. So, you know, that's estimated right now around 40,000. So, you know, we're looking at 60,000. Hopefully we'll have for a balance to do some of this electrical work.
So conceivably, we could be covered
We could be covered.
with other stuff.
We could be
We can
covered
kind of
between,
move around. Is that
between the
what-
building maintenance capital reserve, the balance of the bond funds, grant funding, and hopefully being able to get the electrical engineer to come in with an alternative plan, which is not as costly, but serves the same or very similar purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, do you have a question?
Yeah, does this, the warrant article for the generator, does that lapse?
It does, but the generator's already been purchased.
So we're good, okay.
We're in good shape. We actually just had a meeting about this before, and we talked about the encumbrance list. The good news on this is, over the past couple of years, the auditors and DRA has allowed us to roll that money over as an encumbrance because of COVID and supply chain issues.
Very good.
We have a documented supply chain issue with generators, so we're hopeful that, you know, the balance of those funds, they will allow us to roll over.
Good, thanks.
So, fair question.
Okay. Mr. All set then. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess our friends of the Board of Selectmen are gonna do the ED&C, is that right?
So EDC is located under Planning and Zoning, page 24.
Okay, page 24 on planning. You folks all set? Okay. 100 series.
Are we on the, what are we on? Building?
Page 24 in planning. It's economic development. $200 series, 300 series.
Yes, John.
Yes, sir.
Line 380, outside services, $6,000, that's for the Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yes.
Last year, this time, this committee unanimously passed a motion that the Chamber would provide financials for this committee. Actually, there should be financials included with the budget every year, last year and every year. So I don't see them in this book. Jim, do you recall receiving financials from the Chamber at all?
I honestly
Okay.
do not.
So I don't see them here. John, I'd like to put this line on hold, 380.
Okay.
And I'd like the Chamber of Commerce to have financials to us by December 20th when we revisit.
No, they provided that last year, is that correct?
Yes, they provided their IRS tax return. They did not provide income, expenses, and asset and liabilities the way the agencies do. All they provided was the tax return.
I would like to see,
Right.
I'd like to see their provision of information in, for example, the revenues. How is that broken down? How many of the retailers provided money to the Chamber? How many retailers do we have in town? I want to see what the get the details here. How many are participating?
Oh boy,
Thank
where's
you.
that generator?
Timely conversation.
Can I?
Let's put a timer.
Put
Put the timer.
Oh.
Oh.
That's when we ask too many questions.
Linda, do you want to address some of that? Are you able to address that, what John's saying?
I can reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Chamber question.
it's a membership organization, so obviously not all businesses in the downtown are members.
Beg your
But
pardon?
this- I said it's a membership organization and not all businesses are members,
I'm sure they're not.
okay? In
Because
terms
I
of
wanna
the
find out,
count,
I wanna find out how many are and how many are not.
okay, I just didn't know whether you people knew that that was the kind of organization it was.
Thank you.
I'll make that request of them.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Jim. I
I'm
think
not sure who would have the exact number of how many businesses there are in town.
I would,
An estimate.
perhaps Sean and I can talk about this. I think, I would like to see them come in line with the agencies. You can take a look at their tax return and pretty much derive their income and expenses. But as far as their assets and liabilities, you can't find that in their tax return. It'd be nice for them to model a financial report similar to the agencies and the book.
Agencies?
Yeah, however, we went back and forth with this last year. It's very well established that anybody could walk into the Chamber of Commerce and ask for financials, and they would have to provide it to them. But I just think they should. They're a 503c6, not a C3. C3 I believe is for charity functions. C6 is for self-membership preservation or self-help, help their own members. However, it's quite clear that they have to submit financials. And we went through this about 10 years ago, and everybody kind of dropped it. We kind of forgot about it. And last year we got into it again, and I don't think it's a big deal. And so.
We just have to make it, we can ask for it.
Yeah. Well,
I don't have any issue
Right,
asking
okay.
for it.
One of the problems that quite a few people in this room have close associations with the private industry, private business here. So especially on the budget committee, we've got to divorce ourselves from our own interests and think of it as we're working for the taxpayers here.
thank you, Jim. That's it for me, John.
Tom, did you have anything? No.
On 381, I wanted to tell everybody I have raised the 2,500 for the EDC for the fireworks for this year. I've kept again my promise.
Thank you. So would you like us to take that out of oh, you didn't put it in there? So, that's good.
You gotta make sure that gets in the minutes, that she kept her promise.
Absolutely, I want it in every year.
Okay, 500 series. A 600. $800. That's it on the, yeah, Tom?
Could we go back to advertising 562? It appears that we've spent less than half as of October, yet we're projecting to spend the same as budgeted next year.
That money, they had that EDC event for the businesses. 50 businesses, or 50 people showed up for the event from local businesses, and we had a recap for the 2022 business cycle in Wolfeboro. We broke out into groups, and people met and talked to each other, all the businesses in town. We created a set of tabulated information on what they thought the strengths of the community was, what kind of weaknesses they had in the businesses, what they found for challenges, and the EDC is looking at those, breaking them down, and determining what kind of actions they can take going forward to make the business environment better in Wolfeboro. So that's not accounted in for there, and it's also not accounted all their holiday advertising and the rest of the money that they're gonna be spending to advertise
Rest of the year.
the rest of the year.
Well, so this is heavily weighted towards
That's
the
all- yeah, it's all
third,
gone.
fourth quarter.
Yeah, there's a Yankee magazine ads that come out,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But,
and this is in October, there was a bunch spent in November.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for Economic Development Committee.
I have
Yes,
one
John?
comment here. It seems like this might not be a bad place to put the people who direct the boats into the landing. Why that is in Parks and Rec and not Chamber of Commerce stuff. I'm just throwing that out for food to think about, not digest and throw it out. Okay.
Okay, we're all set there. That's everything that I have, and Mr. Town Manager, you've got something, right?
Yeah, so if this board can make a motion to go into non-public.
And is there a second? Who was the first
Who
person?
first?
a second.
And Tom Bell was second.
We need a roll call vote on this?
Yes.
Does that have to be unanimous?
Okay, roll call.
Roll call.
You wanna do it?
Bob Tupper,
Yes.
John Burt,
Yes.
Tom Bell,
Yes.
John McDonald.
Yes.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Steve Johnson,
Yes.
Matt Cash,
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes.
Bob Bowman.
Yes.